What's going on, YouTube? So a lot of people know me, in addition to being the Apple fanboy, as an all things iPad Pro evangelist, a pro iPad Pro person, if you will. But in this video, I'm not going to be talking about just how great this device is and how I love using it. I'm going to be talking about the one issue that I've had over the last year since getting this that has affected everything that I do, and it bothers me that it has not been accurately addressed. Not that it hasn't been addressed. So if that sounds like the video you came to see, hit the subscribe button and click the bell so you don't miss, as we cover all things iPad Pro and the techosophy behind technology. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Grant and Geek Show. Okay, so this video is going to be short and sweet. It's not about watch time or anything like that. I'm just trying to convey something that's been on my chest as a daily user of the M1 iPad Pro. There's not much bad you can say about this. I mean, 12.9-inch XDR display, M1 chip, 8 to 16 gigs of RAM, blazing fast, great speakers. I get a ton of work done on it, okay? So it has nothing to do with it not being a good device. But there's been a nuisance of a quirk in the iPad Pro, for lack of a better word. I'm talking about the issue none other than Bloomgate. Yes, this was the only issue really with the M1 iPad Pro at launch. And the thing, unfortunately, that's happening in tech is people are applying the Apple versus Android philosophy to every single category in tech. And so when the Bloomgate thing happened, people just wanted to pick a side. Is Bloomgate everything? Is it horrible? Or is it nothing at all? And I think the truth lies directly in the middle, and people just don't want to acknowledge that, which is why I said it's never been accurately covered. So let me give you my perspective on how the whole Bloomgate thing started, and then I'll tell you what I think the truth of the matter is. So Apple device comes out, right? It's been a trend lately that there's a gate associated, Ben gate, antenna gate, all these different things. And with the iPad Pro, some users were experiencing blooming or a halo effect on high contrast images. This is a super bright object on a pitch black or very, very dark background. It'd be like a haloing effect. And so what would happen is immediately people started blowing it out of proportion. That's the first thing that I will say. The reaction was an overreaction. But then we saw something very interesting, which just didn't rub me the right way. A lot of tech YouTubers, a lot of industry folks started doing what looked oddly similar to damage control, saying, oh yeah, Bloomgate is a thing, but you know, you have to turn the brightness all the way up and be watching something super HDR, and then you might kind of maybe sort of almost see something like Bloomgate. And it was much more obvious than that. You really didn't even have to have the display up to full brightness. And as somebody who's purchased multiple M1 iPad Pros, I know that it's not just a case by case or device by device thing. It's a consistent issue across the board on all the iPad Pros. Now, I love the new technology. I love that it enables HDR content. I'm not bashing any of that. And sometimes when you innovate, there will be issues and stuff like that. I can almost guarantee on the M2 iPad Pro, it's not going to be an issue. They'll have fixed that. Because they know that it's not a good thing. And the clearer we can just be where the tech community acknowledges, hey, this is not what we want on our HDR screens that cost over $1,000. Now, it still is a bargain because you're getting a state-of-the-art, super thin, super high build quality, super powerful tablet that also throws in one of the best displays ever made for a mobile device. You have to say, okay, this is the cost of innovation. Sometimes when you're making bleeding edge technology, there are going to be some things that you don't like. And yeah, maybe it deserves a gate, sure. Whatever it takes to let Apple know, hey, there's an issue we'd like to see fixed or solved in the next product. It doesn't have to get, I hate using this word, it doesn't have to get so toxic. Do you get what I'm saying? Like with the MacBook Pros, people have been saying for a long time, give us our HDMI port, give us our SD card reader. Those were the two top of the list things that people wanted back on their MacBook Pros. And people said, get rid of the touch bar, right? Over time, Apple said, all right. Now, they were reluctant to do this, but they said they didn't acknowledge it as a problem. They saw it as the future, like the removal of the headphone jack. But eventually, people's voices were they said, okay, we hear you loud and clear. So this is a problem, you know, when I'm editing HDR content, when I'm even consuming content, HBO, Netflix, you name it, it's blooming city all day. So it's an issue, but it is not something that ultimately stops me from using the device, and I look forward to the M2 iPad Pro in which these things will be fixed. Now, I don't think the M2 iPad Pro is coming out anytime soon. Maybe if it wanted to come out exactly 12 months from the release of the M1, it would be probably at Apple's spring event. but I don't think that's going to happen because usually we're running on a probably 15-month to 2-year cycle with the iPad Pros, and particularly with the really good ones, we don't see an update for 2 years, like the 2018 to 2020 iPad Pro. So now that this iPad Pro is good to go, probably for the next 2 years, I don't think we'll be seeing it anytime soon. But those are just my opinions and thoughts, and of course, the biggest issue I personally have with the M1 iPad Pro. If you want to see more iPad Pro and techosophy content, hit the subscribe button, click the bell so you don't miss. Chat it up with me in the comments down below. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Chris Grant Jr. It's the Granite Geek Show.